clues to help you find it. Use the camera controls you learned in the home space to investigate the island. Here's a quick reminder. Move around the island using the left stick. Push it left and right to move sideways, and up and down to move forwards and backwards. Use the right stick to look around the scene. To move up and down in the scene, just hold L1, then push the left stick up and down. Use the left and right sticks to look around the island. If you go flying off in the wrong direction and lose your bearings, don't worry. Just hover over the mode icon in the corner of the screen. In assembly mode, the icon is a puzzle piece. Here you'll find a camera bookmark that'll take you back to where you started in the scene. Select it with X and you'll be back in familiar territory. Can you find anything here that looks like a clue? Once you've found the clue, you're ready to move on to the next step. Press the arrow button on the video to continue. Did you find that clue? It was on the back of one of those shapes. Looks a bit like a rocket. I do love a cryptic message. Why don't you look around for any rocket-related goings-on? Ah, look over there. On that island in the distance. Those shapes look a lot like the ones in the clue. Go on. Fly over there and check it out. That island is quite far away, though. A good opportunity to practice using the grab cam. Do you remember how to do that? To use the grab cam, just hover your imp over an object you want to go to, then hold R1. Your imp will grab onto the object. Now push up on the left stick to zoom forward. The further you push the left stick, the faster you'll move. Once you reach the island, release R1 to stop using the grab cam. Make sure you're looking right at the cylinder and the cone. The grab cam is a powerful tool for navigating scenes. In fact, it's so powerful, you could easily get lost in the scene if you accidentally grabbed the wrong object or zoomed out too far. But you can get back to where you started by using the camera bookmark. Just hover over the mode icon, then select the camera bookmark with X. If you need to rewatch any of the tutorial steps, you can. Use the skip buttons on the video. Think back to the first clue. The cone was on top of the cylinder, right? In edit mode, you interact with everything using your imp, the very tip of your imp's pointy. Now, that looks pretty good, at least from this angle. Creating scenes in three-dimensional space means that you should always look at your creations from different angles. The easiest way to do that is with the grab cam. Instead of moving the objects you grab cam moves your point of view around them. Try it out on the cone. Hover over it, then press and hold R1. Pushing the left and right sticks moves your point of view around the cone. Easy! Now that you can get a proper look at it, check that the cone is on straight. Unlike mine. Let go of R1 to stop using the grab cam. And use R2 to make any adjustments you need. Here's a little secret called nudge. If you don't press R2 all the way down, but just hold it lightly, you can move the cone slowly, giving you finer control. If you need a reminder of the controls at any time, select the mode icon in the corner of the screen. This menu. Hey, look at that. Another clue. It's a molecule. I know because I put it there. Just play along with me. Why don't you look around with the right stick
and see if you can find another molecule. There's one, over there by that island. You're hot on the trail.
But before you go zooming over there with the grab cam, there's an even faster way to zip around scenes.
Hover your imp over that orange cube in the distance. Now hold L1 and then press R1, the grab cam button. You don't have to hold it or use the stick this time. See? Told you it was quicker.
L1 is a very special button.
You know the way that on a computer keyboard, holding down Shift changes what some keys do? Well, in Dreams, holding down L1 changes what the other buttons do.
For example, holding L1 while using the left stick makes you go up and down instead of forwards and backwards. That's not all it can do though. You'll learn lots of L1 shortcuts as you play through the tutorials.
Now that you know how to move around quickly, see if you can find the next clue somewhere on this island. Remember to...
Did you find the next clue?
It was on the back of the orange cube. What on earth could it mean? If I had eyes, I would wink at you right now. That was my final clue telling you where to go. The island right above us. I know you're an expert in moving around with the left and right stick now.
But let's practice strafing up and down with the left stick. Remember, holding L1 modifies what the buttons do, like Shift on a computer keyboard. Normally, the left stick moves you backwards and forwards in the direction you're facing. But if you hold L1 at the same time, the left stick will make you move up and down instead. Try getting up to the last island using this technique.
Right, here's the puppet I reserved for you. Let's call her Connie, 'cause she looks like a cone. We need to help Connie walk through the door to complete this tutorial. To do that, we're going to have to switch over to play mode. Remember, right now you're in edit mode. This is where you create and edit your scenes. In play mode, you can experience the scene just like a player would if they found it in the Dreamiverse. You can't make any changes in play mode, but you can take control of characters and try out what you've made. Switch over to play mode now. Just press the options button on your controller. Hover over the controller icon with your imp, then press X to select it. To control a puppet in a scene, I hope you've got your imp under control. I've got some spectacular tricks to show you, and some that are just...
In this tutorial, you'll master the basic controls you learned in the home space. But this time, you'll have the full freedom of edit mode. Use the video player to play through the tutorial steps. Follow the steps carefully. It's not just about getting to the end, it's the journey that counts. So here we are. This is where the magic happens. Edit mode. The row of buttons you can see is the assembly menu.
That's where you'll find all the tools and modes you need to construct your scenes.
It can be opened and closed by pressing the square button.
You won't need it just yet, so go ahead and close it with square.
Somewhere in this scene I've hidden a puppet, which we'll need in later tutorials.
I've left some clues to help you find it.
Use the camera controls you learned in the home space to investigate the island. Here's a quick reminder. Use the left stick to move your imp. Use the right stick to look around the scene. To move your view, hold L1, then use the left stick to move left, right, forwards, and backwards. If you want to move up and down in the scene, just hold L1, then push the right stick up and down. Use L1 and the left and right sticks to look around the island. If you go flying off in the wrong direction and lose your bearings, don't worry. Just hover over the mode icon in the corner of the screen. In assembly mode, the icon is a puzzle piece. Here you'll find a camera bookmark that'll take you back to where you started in the scene. Select it with X and you'll be back in familiar territory.
Can you find anything here that looks like a clue? Once you've found the clue, you're ready to move on to the next step.
Press the arrow button on the video to continue.
Did you find that clue? It was on the back of one of those shapes. Looks a bit like a rocket. Hey, look at that. Another clue.
Did you find the next clue?
It was on the back of the orange cube. What on earth could it mean? If I had eyes, I would wink at you right now. I can't see any other green trash cans around. Unless... Of course, the trash can is the icon for the delete tool. I'm so devious. That must mean you need to delete the orange cube.
Here's a reminder of how to delete things in edit mode. Hover your imp.
That was my final clue telling you where to go. Right, here's the puppet I reserved for you. Let's call her Connie, 'cause she looks like a cone. We need to help Connie walk through the door to complete this tutorial. To do that, we're gonna have to switch over to play mode. Remember, right now, you're... Now you've got the hang of moving things around in edit mode, it's time to master manipulating objects. Just as well, because Connie's friend Cuthbert fell asleep in the Dreamiverse and got stranded. Yes, he's a cube with legs. Connie didn't choose her friends. I did. So, we need to fix these platforms if she's going to reach the flag and get to Cuthbert. Before we start, you can switch to play mode to see how a player would experience this scene. You'll always need to test things out in play mode while dream shaping, so it's a good habit to get into. Press the Options button, then select Play Mode with X. Its icon looks like a controller. Once you're in play mode, take control of Connie with R2, and we'll see how far she can go. Start by jumping over to the first platform. Oh dear! Looks like it's too far for Connie. Move that first platform closer. To do that, head back into edit mode. So, open the Options menu and select the button with the pencil icon. Once you're in edit mode, move on to the next step. We have to do something about these platforms if Connie's going to reach the other side. First, let's get a good look at them. Move your view side on to Connie and the first pink platform. Don't forget, you can hold L1 while using the left stick to strafe up and down. See the dotted outlines? That's where the platforms should be. So let's put them in place with the Move tool. The imp has this equipped by default. To move things, hover... Hurrah! Connie and Cuthbert have been reunited. But now they need to find a way out before Cuthbert falls asleep again. So let's learn how to find a door in the Dreamiverse. Go to the Assembly menu, which is the row of buttons at the top of the screen. The Assembly menu disappears when you're busy working on a scene, to make sure it doesn't get in the way. So if you can't see it, just press square to open it. Here you'll find all the assembly tools, modes, and gadgets. If you ever wonder what a button does, just hover over it for a few seconds to see more info. This menu is also where the search button lives. It's the one with the magnifying glass. Select it now with X. The search button takes you to the Dreamiverse, where you'll find all the things created by dreamers from around the world.
But for this tutorial, I've made a collection of elements for you to use in this scene.
Let's see if we can find a door in the Start Dreaming collection. Select it with X. Have a look around. What elements do we have here in the collection? Ah, there it is. A door. Select it with X now. You should know this isn't just any door. Now you know how to grab, rotate, and scale objects. It's time I showed you how to clone things. Cuthbert has managed to get himself stuck again. Luckily, I've set up this scene so that we can use the clone tool to rescue him. With this tool, you can make exact copies of anything in the scene. This makes it one of the most useful tools in a Dreamshaper's toolbox. You'll also get a chance to practice with all the other tools that you've learned so far. If we get Connie off this platform, maybe she'll help us out. Let's use the clone tool on this one small block to create a bridge. Remember how we used the L1 button to modify how the grab cam and the left stick work? Well, it can also change how the grab button works. Hover over the floating block with your imp and hold L1. Now grab the block with R2, and remember that if you press it gently, you can move it more slowly. Now you have another block. That's because grabbing things while holding L1 creates a clone of that object. Once you've created the clone, you can release L1, but don't let go of R2 until you're ready to place it in the scene. When you've found the right spot, release R2 to put it down. You can treat a cloned object just like you would any other element. You can move it with R2 and rotate it with L2. And scale it up and down with the directional buttons. Of course, anything you do to the block can be undone with the left directional button. You can even clone the cloned block. Let's do that next. Hover over it, hold L1, then press and hold R2. You can use the clone tool to build a bridge between the first two platforms. Or you can create floating blocks for Connie to jump on. All that matters is that she can get to the next platform, so make sure you test your work in play mode. When Connie can get across, go back to edit mode, rewind time with L3, and move on to the next step. Now you know how to grab, rotate, and scale objects. It's time I showed you how to clone. Getting Connie to that third platform looks easy enough. There's half a bridge between them, so we can just... Okay, Connie, we've almost made it to the door. Ah, but she needs to go across and up now. Good thing you already know how to make clones, because we're gonna need them. So hold L1 and grab the block with R2 to clone it. Now place that clone a little higher than the original. And you know what? There's a better way, so let's undo that with the left directional button. We're going to try a new technique called repeat cloning. I bet you can already guess what it does. That's right, it lets you make lots of clones at once. Let's give it a go. Hover over the block again, hold L1 and press and hold R2. Release L1 once you've made the clone, and move the block up and along. Don't put it down yet though. This is where you become a cloning expert. Without letting go of the first clone, press the right directional button to create a second one. And, you guessed it, another press will create a third one. In fact, you can just keep pressing right to create more and more clones in a sequence. And if you make too many, no problem. Just press the left directional button to remove any clones you don't want. As you can see, all the clones are spaced evenly, and you can move the whole sequence by simply moving the clone that's on your imp. Let's get back to the staircase. It's looking pretty good, but I have one more thing to show you before you move on. Let's get rid of all the clones we've made by pressing the left directional button a few times. You'll notice all the repeated clones are undone together. Now hover over the first block, hold L1, then grab it to create a new clone. Remember to release L1 once you've made the clone, otherwise the next bit won't work. This time, move the block where you want the last step of the staircase to be. There, right in front of the door. Don't let go of R2 yet though. Instead, press the left directional button and... look at that. You've created a sequence of clones between your imp and the original block. You can keep pressing left to create more steps or right to remove them. Once you're happy with your staircase, let go of R2 to place it in the scene. You can create incredible shapes with repeat cloning, so feel free to experiment. How you position the first clone will affect all the repeated clones. Rotating the clones, for example, will let you build ramps and spirals. And if you scale the clone with the up button, you can create a sequence that increases in size. So try different approaches and see what you can come up with. If the path is clear for Connie, switch over to play mode to test the scene. Get Connie to the final platform, then get her to open the door for Cuthbert. If you feel like you've mastered cloning and flipping, walk Connie through the door to complete the tutorial. Good work.
Now that you've had a peek into the Dreamiverse, there are some new options here in the main. Here in What's New, you'll find all the very latest creations, as well as some reminders of things you might have missed.
Hi, I'm Mark, Creative Director of Media Molecule, and I'm going to present a simple masterclass that will hopefully help you use some of what you've learned so far and turn that into an entire game. I'm going to be focusing on a remix of the Dreamiverse Dash game. That means I will be reiterating some of the basics that you may have already learnt, but basics make for strong foundations, and strong foundations make for strong structures. Yes. So, first of all, try playing the game, get familiar with it, and when you get past the finish line, we'll dive in and start tinkering. Okay, let's start by making sure we feel comfortable navigating the space. So here's a quick reminder of how we do this. Use the left stick to move forwards, backwards, left or right. Use the right stick to look in a different direction. If I hold down L1, I can now use the left stick to move up and down instead of forward and backward. We use the L1 button a lot to alter the functionality of other buttons, much like a shift key on a computer keyboard. So, if you ever hear me accidentally say shift, you'll know I mean L1. This level is pretty large, and it's pretty slow using this method if you want to get to the other side of the track, for example. So let's remind ourselves of some quicker ways of moving around. If I position my imp tip over a place I want to go, I can hold down L1 and tap R1. This will zip us there in an instant. Okay, you should be confident about moving around with camera controls now. So let's start changing the actual scene. Before we do that though, you may have noticed lots of these little bright cubes scattered around. These are gadgets. We don't need to see them for now, so let's hide them. Go to the menu, find the Show Hide button, and make sure electronics are turned off. That'll make things a bit clearer. Okay, let's start changing the track layout. In this step, I'll be talking about deleting, moving, and cloning. If you feel you're already a master of these techniques, then feel free to skip this step. A really easy thing to do is just delete some bits. Position your imp tip
Dream surfing. Here we can explore the and most wonderful ideas and creations. Lose yourself in the kaleidoscope of games, animations, music videos, and all sorts of worlds and experiences made by dreamers just like you. Dream surfing is a never-ending, ever-changing stream of dreamers' imaginations. Let's try it out. Welcome to Dream Surfing. Explore all that the Dreamiverse has to offer, organized into playlists to help you find what you like. Here is where you can try all the jam entries. If you enjoy them, give them an upvote. When voting closes, the winner will be announced. Need a little inspiration? When we need new ideas for the Dreamiverse, we have a jam. We thought you might like to do that too. Every so often, we set a topic we're curious about, and anyone can make and submit a dream on that topic. Or you can just play through the current entries and see which ones you like. When time is up, we'll feature the dreams the community loved the most. Go on, give it a try. This is where you can see all the previous winners of the community jams. Here is where you can try all the jam entries. If you enjoy them, give them an upvote. When voting closes, the winner will be... In a moment, you'll be creating and editing your own scenes in edit mode. Scenes are like levels in a game, or elements, sets, music, effects, and characters. Anything that you can build inside a scene and save to the Dreamiverse. Scenes are connected. Scenes can be found when you go dream surfing. Welcome to Edit Mode. This is a fresh scene full of potential, where you can build anything you can imagine. Before you go wild with the power of dream shaping, let's just do a very quick imp quest to get you off on the right foot. Dreamer, you've just made your very first creation. The Dreamiverse is yours.